Hi everyone, welcome to Copi Cafe episode number 53. We've got Rob Gregg here and Josh Jones, and we're just here to tell you a little bit about this game that we're building, Cornucopias. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Cornucopias, it's a MMORPG Metaverse game where that's built on the Unreal Engine 5 game engine, but it's going to be served eventually on a variety of different platforms. That said, what you do in the game is there's a variety of bubbles and a network of bubbles and lands that you can explore and do many different things. One of those things being racing. So that's going to be one of our first releases. But in the future, we'll have lands like Solace, where you can explore a beautiful mountainous range with streams and go hiking and build up your property and do fly fishing and all sorts of different fun stuff. So we've got a lot for you in Cornucopias as you explore these different lands and bubbles. Okay, so what's up in this episode? We're going to be talking with a new partner, DEGA. So we'll have a special guest on. We're going to talk about our player account creation, and we've got several exciting leaks for you, so please stay tuned for those. And one gameplay leak at the end and some new water technology that we're messing around with to show you as well. So all that being said, let's go ahead and kick this off. Rob, what are you drinking today?
Well, today I have a marvelous drink, which is pure orange juice.
Yeah, nice.
Probably not going to drink all of it, though. What are you drinking, Josh?
I have two drinks. I have, a little remaining caffeine, and I also have a similar drink to the usual Waterloo. It's a Spendthrift, is what it's called. And it's lime-flavored sparkling water. And we'll see if it's any good.
I'm just spilling it all over myself.
Once again, Rob's spilling all over his desk. This is...
Who makes these silly cartons?
All right, folks. Let's kick this off. So, Cheers. Little development update for you guys. We have, by the time this video's out, it should have gone to the OGs, and hopefully to all of you guys in the public, to everyone. That's the goal for this week, at least. We have our player account is being launched on the website. This is where you can create your username, your password, you register, you add your Discord, you add your Web3 wallet, you add double authentication for security. If you wish to do that, you can put your profile pic up there. That's all launching, and then you can view your assets inside once you've set up your account. So there's a lot of work that's gone into this, and as previously mentioned, when we built out our custom website, the new website that we launched earlier this year, that was a foundation for so many more things that will be added on. This player account is just one aspect of that, and soon we'll be adding on the desktop launcher where you can, launch the game and serve the game. But first up, this is the player account setup. We're going to need you guys, if it's available by the time of the launch of this video, go set up your player account. And let us know your feedback. This is still in testing. We're refining and debugging and all of that good stuff. But let us know what your thoughts are. Rob, what do you think? I'm really pumped about this. This is just one stage of us moving towards launching the game.
It will probably take you about 1 or 2 minutes maximum to set it up. It's like a swan. It looks very simple on the top, but underneath it's doing a lot of hard work. You'll see your NFTs in there, and it's step one. If you pass the test and create an account, which shouldn't be too hard, then you're ready for step 2, which we will talk about in the future.
If you pass the test, there's a quiz for you. No, just kidding.
Yeah,
I agree.
Make sure you grab your username.
It's a good metaphor. It's simple. I mean, people see these account setups and typically what I'll say about this with ours, I thought it was very clean, very simple, very pro, and very well done overall. Like the team did an excellent job. Jeff, Michael, everybody involved, you guys nailed it. And I think it's a seamless process. I'm sure we're going to still find more bugs as we gradually release it to the public. We'll get those worked out. The point is that we get this out there and we do it in a way that's systematic, that's reflective of the way that we'll test other things in the game as well. So like we'll start with a small release, knock out any of the major issues, then we'll release it to larger groups and larger groups from there.
Yeah, check it out. See that all your roles are there, and then give us feedback. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
But yeah, overall, I think it's huge. You can view your NFT assets. You can do all sorts of what am I talking about? There's not too much more that you can do with that really, but just view your NFT assets, create your account. You'll eventually be able to launch the desktop launcher and view different types of content in there. But that's the gist of it right now. So, okay. Next up, we need to talk about, let's see, what's the web account creation?
New partnerships?
New partnerships, yeah. Well, we've got DEGA coming up, and DEGA is, they're going to be bringing a lot to, there's so much more to this partnership that we really need to discuss than we're going to be talking about today. But overall, what we're going to be starting with is this ISPO with DEGA and then the layer 2 technology that they're helping us bring. So you'll be able to see your NFT metadata in a dynamic way with DEGA. So for example, racing data will be displayed on the DEGA chain, and that's going to help us in a variety of ways because it'll reduce transaction costs for all of these saves and some of this data. It's just not doable on a layer 1 in that way. And the cool thing about what we're doing with DEGA is it's bringing new utility and new value to the Cardano ecosystem. It's making it easier for devs to develop and utilize the Cardano layer 1. So we're adding, once again, what we're doing here is hopefully bringing more people over to Cardano as they see that it's easier to develop here and do certain things within the gaming vertical, basically. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, what we've been developing with Carlos and his team for about a year now, and we are a use case of the DEGA chain, and like you say, the history of our racing vehicles will be held on the DEGA chain. They will be linked to our NFTs. APIs will be created, so in the future, people will be able to not only be able to synchronize the DEGA chain on their own servers if they want to, but they will also be able to write their own APIs on top of that and then go and share it to all other systems. So an ecosystem will be able to build on top of that chain, but we're using it for part 1. We're going to use it to be our historical reference of all our races and every activity on our NFTs.
Yeah, it's almost confusing to try to explain because there's so much we're going to be able to do here.
Yeah.
So trying to keep it simple in the beginning is what we're doing, but there's a lot that we have to explore with this.
Well, and just to that point, users don't need to know that we're using DEGA and don't need to know that we're using Cardano blockchain or anything. They will just see historical data in leaderboards and history of vehicles. And this is where it came from, but you don't need to know that in game. You will just go into your vehicle and see its history.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we hope this will be a great value add for Cardano. It adds utility for Copi token as well, eventually, with how we might utilize some of the tech there. But yeah, it's an exciting partnership, and I'm glad to have him on. We'll bring them up shortly. Hey man, we got Carlos here from DEGA, CEO of DEGA. Good to have you on the show. How are things going?
Hey Josh, hey Rob. Everything's going great, and I'm happy to be on the show for the first time. I hope this is the first of many that I will be able to accompany you guys here.
Well, we'll be glad to have you back. This is an important partnership in so many ways. We've only really revealed a small amount of it. But yeah, there's, and I want to cover this real quick before we get into something really important that I have to ask you, which is the way we look at partnerships. I could have gone on a full-scale partnership campaign since the beginning of Cornucopias, and we could have signed up 200 partners with the traction we were getting, with the community, with reputation. Not to be braggy or whatever, but like we had enough to where we could have 250 partnerships. But the way that we look at that is that's marketing hype if you're not actually executing on something, and there's not a diminished value to marketing hype. That's important for sure. Like that helps you build and grow your community. But the way we looked at it is we have so many things to execute on. The partners that we choose to work with, it needs to be intentional, and it needs to work on both sides. It needs to be beneficial to both sides, and it needs to be people that we like to work with and that we trust. And we think we found that with you guys. And so we're happy to have you on the show. And you've done an excellent job with everything on your end so far, and this partnership has a long way to go. So that's setting the tone here. We're glad to have you on Copi Cafe. Now, important question: what are you drinking?
Well, today I'm just having a little bit of iced tea, just because over here in Costa Rica we kind of live in a perpetual summer, so it's always a little bit hot. And yeah, as we're going into the day, it's refreshing.
All right,
Nice.
good.
Well, yes.
I've got
Cheers.
a lime sparkling water drink called Spindthrift. It was good to have you on. If you don't mind, just give us a little bit of your background. How do we know you, and what have you been up to prior to DEGA?
Yeah, happy to do so. So I've been doing computer science for a little over 13 years now. Started off my first half of my career with the enterprise world, Wells Fargo Bank, other pharmaceuticals, some government agencies. And then the second half of my career has been on the blockchain side of things. I started out doing with my own team outsourcing for several different projects, everything from deploying new layer ones, deploying side chains, DEXs, NFT marketplaces. And I also had the pleasure of working over a year at IOHK, where I was leading the Cardano sidechains program from a technical product perspective. I really enjoyed my time there. Hi to all the IOHK team. I really can't speak highly enough of them in that sense.
Sounds like it was an
And then
amicable departure then, I guess.
super amicable. I was sad when I left, honestly, and I believe that I had the best team that I've ever worked with there. Everybody from the technical side to the product side was great. Yeah, but I saw in my head the vision of what DEGA is, right, and what it can be, and the type of relationships and partnership that we're building with you guys and other companies in the ecosystem. And I know that we can bring so much more value as well to the Cardano ecosystem. So yeah, I had to make this vision a reality.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally get it, man. That's awesome.
Get your own wings and fly.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
That sort of
if you
thing.
got a vision and you got to do something, there's nothing stopping you. And that's a lot of where we've come from with Cornucopias. It's like Rob and I got together, and he had a vision. We edited the vision. We looked at it. We changed it. We grew, and it became this. And then as we brought in more team members, it was like the vision became more and more powerful. And it's like then you're just, there's nothing stopping you. Because you see something, you're like, I have to go here. I have to do this.
Yeah.
And that's important because a lot of people, if it's not about the vision and it's only about the change, the money,
Yep.
that's why you see so many people falling off. They give up. Things get tough. The money's not there. It's like, well, I don't need to continue. But no,
Yep.
I'm not stopping until this is built. That's a different story,
I'd say, yeah, we could summarize that in the word purpose, right? When you have purpose, when you need to create something, to bring something, to realize something, that's kind of like the key of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, right on. Cheers to you, man. And I know that's a scary thing to step out and leave your employer to start something new. Even both Rob and I did that as well. We dove in. We said bye-bye to that guaranteed paycheck and we took the risk and we plunged into Cornucopias, but you did the same thing. So good job. It seems like DEGA is making some waves already, and it's been exciting to watch what you guys have done since we met. We met in Consensus in 2022, right?
22, yep.
We have the pleasure of knowing James Bowater and Ken Alling as well from Melt Finance. So they are both advisors at my project. So they did us the favor of doing the introduction. On our side, we obviously knew your brand, we knew your project. We were very impressed by all the demos that you guys were doing, by the fact that you guys jumped in, straight away to Unreal Engine 5. So we were like, who's doing that right now in the blockchain space, right? Maybe a handful.
Who's crazy enough to do that right now is really the question.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we saw that, as something that we wanted to be a part of with DEGA, right? And support you guys in any way we can.
Yeah. Well, appreciate that. Well, what's DEGA? For anybody that doesn't know who you guys are, what do you guys do?
So the name DEGA comes from descentralizar gaming, right? It's in Spanish. That's why it's DEGA, not DIGA. And the reason that we were decided to create this project is because we see that there's a need in the industry to be able to accelerate adoption, right? So we're essentially providing, let's say, two dimensions to this, right? One of them is a technological aspect, right? Just basically doing blockchain gaming infrastructure as a service, right? So we allow you to be able to deploy new layer 2s, new NFT marketplaces, DEXs, token factories, dynamic NFTs for games, and just be able to do this from a simple API that a 17-year-old high school kid can use, right? Yeah. No need to go into the cumbersome architectures that exist in blockchain, which they're useful and they're needed, right, to make the system work properly, but they put up too much of a big of a challenge for a developer that just want to do their game, right? Like if if you're doing a JavaScript game or a Unity game, you don't want to go and take a master's degree to be able to integrate blockchain, right? So that's kind of like what we do on the infrastructure side, and we'll talk a little bit more shortly, I hope, about the value we're bringing to the Cardano ecosystem and to the Cornucopias ecosystem as well. And then the other aspect is we're taking the concept that was pioneered in Cardano of ISPOs and being able to productize that so that we can onboard other gaming industry companies into the space, right? And this is particularly important for people in emerging markets because they usually, like in, Costa Rica even, which is one of the most advanced countries in Latin America, right? There's almost no venture capital here. So a system like ISPOs that allows you to delegate and fundraise for a company that you don't even know while remaining with the certainty and security that your capital will not be taken away because it's secured by the Cardano protocol, it's a great mechanism, right? It's a great way to meet both sides of the market, right? The people that want to support new projects in emerging markets and the people that need that capital to be able to get their companies running.
Yeah, very true. And we see a lot of value in what you guys are doing and how you're positioning yourself in the market to be a service provider, basically a service and tech provider to gaming ecosystems. Well, in my mind, you start to have success, you make it easier, you help lift up the gaming element of Web3 in such a way that now with Cornucopias, we're able to access new ecosystems. For example, you've already introduced us to a large esports ecosystem. We won't name them at the moment because nothing's fully official there, but we've already had an introduction, and there's things that can happen with that, which is great. And there's a lot of things that we can do, and we'll go into that a little bit more. But before we get to that stuff, tell us a little bit about this ISPO, because that was our recent announcement yesterday with you guys, and we're supporting your ISPO and a part of that. Just let everybody know what's this about and how can they benefit from that.
Yeah, so essentially, this mechanism in Cardano is a little bit well known, right? In the sense that what we are doing is setting up a stake pool, right, where people can do delegation to DEGA. In exchange for the fees of said delegation, we're going to distribute the DEGA token, right? And what's the purpose of the DEGA token? So we've all been familiar with some of the recent L2 successes, right? For example, Arbitrum, to name one, right? One of the most successful launches of this year. And we're taking that a step further, right? Because what we're doing as DEGA is basically allowing anybody to be able to deploy their own layer twos, right? On top of Cardano and on top of other protocols as well. And then, as you know, to be able to be decentralized, you need to have a token because that's what allows you to be able to distribute ownership of the network and being able to have multiple parties running this infrastructure, right? And in our case, we're taking inspiration on the deflationary mechanic that was implemented in Ethereum, right? In which case they distribute the value to everybody via when everybody does a transaction there, the fees are burned, and that means that you're deflating the amount of tokens in the ecosystem, right? So we're taking that to the next level by integrating that into not only the block transaction fees, but the fees of all the platforms that you deploy there. So secondary sales of NFTs, swap fees, when your services for using the token factories or the dynamic NFTs, all of those are going to be accrued to the DEGA token holders across multiple layer twos, right? So essentially, we're kind of like doing Arbitrum on steroids in that sense.
Right. And part of what we're doing in the partnership with us is, that we kind of mentioned to you guys early on, it's very important to us that this is also beneficial to Cardano in one way or another. So what we've done with this ISPO is help to fund, on the Cornucopias side, funding the development of this part of this ISPO and marketing and things of that nature, so that you could build out the Cardano cluster, right? Which is,
correct.
If you don't mind, tell everybody, what is the Cardano cluster and why is that even important to Cardano or the Cardano community?
Awesome. This is the question I've been waiting for since we started the
Okay, good.
conversation. So basically, what we're doing, right, with the Cardano cluster is DEGA has built out an API on top of blockchain components that allows anybody to be able to develop using the feature set of blockchain, right? Be it that you want to represent assets or in-game currencies as tokens, be it that you want to use NFTs for your digital assets. But right now, like if you go to the market, right, and you see the game developers out there, they're not specialized in any of the blockchain technology stacks, right? And not only Cardano, like literally any of the blockchain stack programming language and frameworks, that's not what gamers are using, right? They're using either Unreal Engine with C++, they're using Unity with C#, or they're using JavaScript if they're doing web, right?
Right.
And I know some Python frameworks and a few other smaller languages. But the point is, nobody's doing neither, Haskell or Plutus, nor even Solidity, right? They're not doing any of these languages. So what we're doing is we're saying, well, you know what? There are certain set of building blocks that you're gonna need for creating your game, right? It's not like you truly need, let's say 10,000 types of components, right? There's probably like 25 to 35 components that will solve 99.99% of your gaming needs. So what we're doing in DEGA is taking these components, right, pre-building it so you don't have to build them, and then putting a simple web service API on top. So using the blockchain becomes as easy as using a Gmail API, right? As easy as using a MailChimp API, right? So now we're opening up the Cardano ecosystem to the world, basically, of developers that are out there, right? And a few other details that benefit our design are things like using the concept of meta transactions, which means that, for example, you don't need to charge the gas to the end user. They can still remain the custodians of their assets and own crypto assets, but you can pay the fee for them You can charge them in another token. You can charge them in fiat if you wanted to. The point is that you, as a game developer, now have the freedom. They could all the great things about blockchain, but build as if it was using, a Web2 API.
Yeah, it's huge. I love it. And I want to hear any response Rob might have to that as well. But I will say this, that we have, the way that we have positioned ourselves as Cardano being our foundation, it's always been our philosophy that we're going to go cross-chain. We believe in interoperability, just like the CEO of IOHK, or Charles Hoskinson, and his vision for interoperability between chains, because that is the real way to mass adoption. But what you guys are doing with this Cardano cluster, that's another thing that's really important to us, because it's like, how do we increase and elevate the gaming industry on Cardano? Well, how can we contribute? Because it's important to all of us that are building games on Cardano, and not just on Cardano. It's important to others, that Web3 gaming starts to get seen in a good light. And the only way for that to happen is for projects to have. So somebody said this the other day, and I forget who it was, Rob, but we were talking to them, and they're like, man, isn't it less expensive to build a game on one Web3? And I'm like, wait, what? Are you kidding me? No. How I don't even know. We didn't get to dig into the how or the why of that, but no, because to build a game on Web3, not only do you have to build out on UE Engine or whatever your gaming platform is, but now you've got to figure out all of this other technology, which is some of what DEGA is helping to provide, like the NFT technology, the minting technology, the game saves, and the ability to save your data to the blockchain, and all these different things that a gaming company has to do on top of what they regularly would have to do if they were just Web 2. So what you're doing for the space is really important, and what you're doing for Cardano is really important. So, we're really excited about this partnership. But Rob, you haven't said much. I wanted to make sure you had a chance to respond to some of what Carlos was just saying.
No, yeah, I think it's probably important to explain how we are actually working together with DEGA. Like you said before, Josh, well, we knew early on that we needed to create a bridge for Cardano, which is why we worked with Chainport. We also understood that we can't save game data on a layer one because of the fees, and having that many people saving every second is just not practical. So I think we've hinted, or at least we've said over the last year, that we are building a layer two ourselves. Well, this is the layer two. We're building this with Carlos and DEGA. And what we're doing is we're going to save all our NFT racing vehicles to begin with, all the racing history and the player history. And what that means then is those transaction fees are tiny. It is held in a Web3 ledger, and it also means that by letting the experts at layers 2 work on that, we don't have to build that ourselves. And this means that people will, I think this is true, people will be able to have their own copy of our historical data, maintain that, and then build services on top of that. So people will be able to poll that. They might want to build their own leaderboards, or they might want to put their own smart contracts on the back of that. So this is truly, Web3 ledger technology. It's not just a database somewhere. So that's really exciting, and that's how we're starting off, and then we will move on to other areas that will benefit, and that's, like we were saying, with the dynamic NFTs, we will be able to produce NFTs on the DEGA chain that for people, traditional Web 2 people will not realize that they've actually got that NFT there before they connect to have any knowledge of wallets. They will have that NFT. And then later on, they can upscale that or convert that to a Cardano NFT or another chain NFT. So all that will come in the future, but we're starting off initially with the historical data. And there is also a scenario where you never need to actually convert your asset to another chain's NFT. It can always
Yeah, there's
remain
so
on.
many options. There's a lot to
Yeah,
this that we don't
it's
even
so flexible.
we don't have fully figured out.
No.
That we're starting with baby steps, but the potential with you
Yep.
guys is that there's a lot that we can do, which is exciting, and it's it's just a fun partnership to explore. So far, it's going really well.
And I think it also brings extra utility to not only Cardano blockchain but to the Copi token as well.
Cardano native tokens, yeah, Copi
Yeah,
included.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. For the Cardano cluster, for example, we're obviously enable transaction fees to be paid via ADA, via Copi, and via DEGA, right? So all three tokens there can be used. Some people, might have preference for one or the other, depending on where they're coming from. And then once they're in that layer two, they can use all of these gaming modules that we're pre-building, right? Obviously, this in blockchain, as you know, our philosophy is to be an open API, right? So hopefully we get to keep onboarding other Cardano projects, tokens, and NFTs included. But yeah, that's what we're starting off, right? ADA, Copi, DEGA, to be able to use on this new layer two, which is a very powerful thing, right? Right now, the reason why layer twos are exploding in the industry is because right now, for example, if you had, let's say, the game of your dreams, right? You're the new Fortnite, right? You would break all the blockchains of the ecosystem combined.
we are the new
You,
Fortnite, by the way. Just go ahead.
yeah, no, we're heading there for sure. We're gonna make them sweat. Um, but yeah, so essentially, you would break all the blockchains in the ecosystem combined, right? All of them. Cardano, Polygon, Ethereum, all of them combined cannot handle the workload that one successful game from Web2 executes, right? So that means that we're definitely headed to a multi-chain world. That is just there's simply no other way to do it, and even to a multi-layer world, right? We're gonna see layer ones, layer twos, and layer threes on top of those, right? And it's gonna become kind of like how the internet works, right? Like, for example, today we opened up Gmail, right? We're all seeing the same app, but behind the scenes, there's like what, 4 million servers handling Gmail on one continent, just for the Americas, just for Europe, right? How many servers does Google need to be able to handle that workload, right? I think it's something like 2 billion people using Gmail. So yeah, that they went horizontal. There's simply no other way to do it, and that's what we need to do in blockchain, right? We're gonna have multiple layer twos on Cardano, and then multiple layer threes on top of that. And what we're doing with DEGA is just basically allowing anybody to be able to use and set up that infrastructure without them needing to go and get, to hire 5 PhDs and master degrees and everything just to be able to build this system.
Right, right.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense. It would kill gaming, Web3 gaming, if that was what everyone had to do. So you're helping to onboard more games like Cornucopias and helping the ecosystem. So I would encourage anybody that's in the gaming space to reach out to you guys and have a chat. One thing I wanted to say, though, regarding fleshing out your example of the open API that you're doing, we've talked about how we might take our racing game data, which is going to be our first real public launch, is showcasing our racing game and the metaverse, the Toledo Valley outer world as well. But the racing data, we need to store that. We need to save that to the chain. And how we do that with you guys is going to be important, because eventually what we'd like is for third parties that may be building some sort of gaming ecosystem of their own. Maybe it's just an esports league, to be able to access that data from the API and publish it on their own website in the way that they want to. So we want to empower others through this API as well, which is very important to the industry, because that's how you access large groups of, there's 150,000 in this one. Let's give them access to this API, make this partnership valuable for them. Let's bring them in, and now they've got access to some of the Copi rewards we have reserved for the racing games that now this esports league can come in and possibly do pretty well, and that's like a 200,000 person deal, or whatever it may be. So that's what we're looking at, is making large moves like that with you guys that can bring in larger groups, and hopefully we can do the same for you. So we've talked a little bit about how the partnership is beneficial to Cornucopias, and actually we could talk a lot more about that because there's a lot more there, but let's move on to DEGA. Why work with Cornucopias? How's this beneficial to you guys?
Yeah, I would say straight up, as you were saying, in terms of, what other companies do, they go, logo hunting is what I call it, right? They just want to slap logos on their website, right? For me, it's definitely important that everybody that we're working with, we have both, I would say both the technical and the marketing synergy, right? Usually most just go for the marketing one, but for us, it's very important to be able to deliver value to the industry with every relationship that we establish, right? So that's one thing, right? Second, obviously your brand, right? You guys were killing it, and we're gonna keep killing it. So, we want to be a part of that. And the third one was when we met in consensus, right? All of you gave me the impression of very high degree of professionalism, which has been the case, right? And I have to say that is, it's even more scarce than the tokens themselves sometimes in the industry, right?
That's true.
So, finding people that are really serious, that are really professional, that really mean what they say, right? That's extremely valuable. So it's been great for us on that side. And then from a practical, product perspective, as we've been building the API, we've been showcasing you the feature set. We've been having discussions around architecture and integrations, and you've been like a real world feedback of what we need to focus on. What are the priorities, right? Like there's a million things that you can do, right, in gaming. So what are the most important things that we need to do in gaming? So I remember when you guys asked us about the dynamic metadata for NFTs, right? So yeah, we put that at the top of the priorities, right? And so forth. So we definitely have benefited from that interaction with you. And again, right, excited to be a part of the game that you're going to launch. Test out the infrastructure there, improve it, right? And then keep moving forward as you guys grow and give Fortnite a run for its money. We want to be there right next to you, supporting you with the infrastructure side.
Yeah. We'd like to give Fortnite a run for its money. I will, however, emphasize that we are incredibly different from Fortnite, and we're not trying to be like them. However, they have captured a large audience, so that's the point I was making earlier.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Epic Games.
thank you, by the way, for the compliment. That was,
Epic Games
and I would reciprocate that. Sounds like Rob has something to say here. I'd reciprocate that and say that you guys have equally been professional, and we've seen over time with you that you do what you say, and you are getting results, and you guys are working at a really fast pace, and a lot has already happened. So props to you on that, because there really isn't a lot of that in the industry. What we see a lot of is people coming in, and there's no finger pointing here, but you do see a lot of people that see the money, they see what can be done in crypto. They may not really have the professional experience or background, but they're going to take a dive. They're going to take a shot at it. And then all the problems come into play, whatever those problems are, whether it ends up being lack of funding, or they can't manage and hire right, or build a team, or stay organized, or they can't pay their taxes, or, whatever it may be. And then they fall off. And that's unfortunate, because it does put a bit of a black eye on the industry, but it's important to have groups like you guys doing what you're doing that are showing people that, people are really in here to build and make something happen and see through on a vision. Rob, you were about to say something.
No, I was just going to say we are still a big fan of, Fortnite and Epic Games, who obviously make the Unreal Engine. But I mean, yeah, it's great to know that, when we first met at Consensus over a year ago, we were talking about dynamic and progressive NFTs there. We were planning them. And since then, Cardano's gone on to create some of its own. So it's good to have all these options. I think the solution that we put in place is pretty solid.
Yeah, we got a long way to go, but I agree. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, Carlos, do you have any last words for us as we wrap this up?
Well, I've just got to say that I'm really excited about the future. I think that we're cooking up a pretty exciting vision of where we're going to take Web3 gaming between both of our companies, and always extending an invitation to all of the other Web3 gaming companies that want to collaborate with Cornucopias and with DEGA. We'd love to have you on board. We'd love to start a conversation and, kill it with the Cardano cluster, right? And just onboard thousands, if not millions, of developers for the ecosystem.
Yeah, I like it. Let's keep it going. You got a great vision, and it's been great working with you. So thank you for taking a moment of your time. I know you're busy. We'll let you back at your daily grind, whatever else you're going to accomplish today. But thank you for joining us on Copi Cafe, man, and we'll talk to you next week, if not before.
Awesome. Looking forward to the next shed.
Cheers, man. See you soon. Well, that was great to have Carlos with DEGA on. Good interview. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that content, and a lot more to come with that partnership in the future. Well, I think that brings us to our next topic, which is the questions. You want to go ahead and ask
community question? Yeah, I'll ask you this week.
All right.
Let me find them. Okay, so question 1 we asked from Danny Girl 3. Hey Rob and Josh, my suggestion is to hold a raffle and the winner gets to race you both live in Copi Cafe. It would be pretty dope. What do you think?
I think it's a great suggestion, and let's do it. Good idea.
Yeah, I don't mind who I race. We've raced against
somebody's going to have to make a note of that so we don't forget, but yeah, let's do it. Well, Danny Girl won't let us forget, but yeah.
No, not now we said it. No. Okay, question 2 by Yabrilla2 from the Knights. Probably said that name wrong. Says, hi guys, long time listener, first time caller. I would like to know how accurate is a 3D map rendering of Solace. Also, are we close to getting a viewable map of Solace, something with a bit more details compared to what we've seen already?
Yes. Okay. So it's 100% accurate at the present, meaning that map was taken from the actual state of Solace that Solace is in right now. What we don't know is that as we are plotting out the land, some changes might need to occur. For the most part, this is very accurate, but it does not mean that that's a final representation of where we'll be. It is accurate at this moment. We might need to shift some things around and make a few changes when we're laying out the land plots. But yeah, so there's a good amount of work left to be done there. And the second part of that question was, having a more detailed viewable map. Yeah, we'll probably do something like that to help you guys with planning in the future. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we've got a bit to go on that. And the good news is that everything we're doing with this racing game is helping us to be prepared for that multiplayer experience in Solace. So it's actually a testing ground that's enabling us to have a good starter experience with Solace and the Theme Zone lands when we launch those coming up soon. So
yeah, and I think when we get to releasing Solace as a testable product and people are running around, you will get to see what the land looks like in Solace as well. So you'll have plenty of time to plan having a look at the different districts before the land pick grab actually starts.
Yeah, agreed. And one thing that might occur is we might do some trial run tests where you guys get to run and grab that don't count.
Yeah, no doubt.
But that's just a test, just to make sure that tech is working well and we're good with everything before we have what actually counts as the land grab. So that'll probably happen as well.
Yeah, as with most things, we will probably go in there. People will be testing tasks. They'll be testing all kind of things, and then we will wipe everything and start again almost from, like day one when it goes live on mainnet.
Yep. All right. Next question.
Question 3 from Sunil. Just a small question. I think it would be good to talk about hiring new devs and or other employees. what's going on and when the team is thinking of hiring more devs. Hiring more devs would mean faster production.
He says, no, it would not mean faster production. I believe that was a question. So, yeah, so the reality is, guys, that we are going as fast as we possibly can. And I want to give our team credit. We've built an amazing team. I think we're currently going faster than a lot of major projects out there. Like the pace of development that's happening here is not as fast as what we had originally hoped with our vision and with our roadmap, but that was just not realistic. But I will say that compared to the rest of the market that's building games, we are launching a UE5 game live within 2 years. That's well under the normal timetable for launching a game of this quality. So it's remarkable what we've done. Now, back to the question of pace. We're at that perfect size right now where we literally can't go any faster. If you double the team size, it actually slows things down significantly. In the future, however, when we have the full core game loop in place, where you can fly from your personal bubble to the custom domes, to the theme zones, to the racing dome, and that game loop is in place, that is the point when we can add out the content development team on the art side. We can add out more programmers to work on custom dome themed kits, the content development kits. We can do sorts of things like that where we build out individual teams to speed up production. Do you have thoughts on that, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you said about we're slightly behind where we thought we would be, but you have to remember that, we moved over to UE5 and UE5 is it's a moving target. 5.1 came out, 5.2 came out, and it was definitely worth moving over to Unreal Engine 5 for the benefits for a competitive advantage. Plus, I mean, we've all seen how good the game looks, but they are improving their tools all the time. They're releasing updates and these updates have to be tested before we put them in. We can't just move over. Like at the moment, we've not moved over yet to 5.2 because that has some issues, but eventually we will do. So development does take time with a brand new platform, but you can see there's so many big studios now that are all moving over to UE5. Nanite is just a game changer. So we know we're absolutely on the right platform, but until the platform is fully stable, those early adopters of that platform must have bigger pros and cons, big advantages when we've released the game to the mainstream because they've never seen anything like this before. But, some disadvantages because we are kind of moving, just like with Cardano, or on a product that is evolving, but we're right there on the cutting edge, and this is why we're building agile, so we can release things as fast as we can.
Yeah, agreed. And there's a good analogy for like team size that I just thought of that, in speed of production. If you imagine yourself trying to call a local flower shop to order some flowers for your wife or something like that, you can call and you're likely going to get the person on the phone right away and get that transaction handled really quickly. Now imagine you're calling to deal with your cell phone from a giant 5,000 person company and you've got to solve an issue with your cell phone carrier account or something to that effect. How long is that call going to take you? Because you're going to get bounced from department to department to department. It's a long issue just to solve an easy problem, and it's because of the enormity of that company. That's kind of a basic analogy, but the reality is that the larger teams get, the more complexity is involved, the more process is involved, the more people have to communicate with one another so that it's done in the right way. Things slow down the bigger you get. We are at a really, really solid size right now. However, at the point that it's right and that core game loop is there, we will speed up production by increasing department sizes at a pace that makes sense, because it also takes a lot of time to train people and onboard them and get the new systems in place once you've increased an individual team size. So even that, once we're ready to bring on 150 people or whatever it may be, or 50 people, we're going to do that over time so that we don't slow things down too much and so that it actually does hopefully speed up certain areas of production. So hopefully that gives some context there. That's a challenging question, but the reality is it is an illusion that increasing team size will increase the speed of deliverables.
Yeah, and you know, some things just take a certain amount of time. So, for example, if a woman has a baby, you know, it takes about 9 months. If you have 9 pregnant women, that doesn't mean that you're going to have 9 babies in 1 month. It still takes 9 months. these things.
Okay, so who won the analogy contest? Rob just won the analogy contest. That's a good one. All right, well, that was a good little take on some questions from the community. We always thank you guys for staying engaged with us. And here's where the bad news is, but it's not that bad. The gameplay leak for this week, we're gonna separate that out. That's gonna be coming in a following video. It's gonna be Copi Cafe 53 Part 2, and the reason for that is we want to make it a little bit more shareable. We know you guys don't want to always just share Rob and I blathering on and our faces. The gameplay is pretty special, and so what we have there, we want it to have a little bit more of a shareable kind of appeal. And so we're separating that out and we're changing this process just a little bit. So, Rob, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything there, but I like the idea. This was, your idea actually. And I think it's a great one. And so it enables us to do a lot more in the future, in a different way. So we're going to be separating out the video and we'll see you very soon in, probably less than an hour. We'll release that gameplay segment. So we'll see you guys there. And until next week, have a good one.
Bye-bye.